Woke up, tech talk, news flash, AI rolling in future in a dash. Digital dreams, cold and safe. We got the vision, never out of sync. AI, flies it to the sky.
So how many medal ceremonies have you watched?
I have not watched many.
You haven't watched the Olympics?
I've watched a little bit of the Olympics. I've watched a lot of funny things in the Olympics.
Okay. Okay.
Like really funny stuff. There was a person who got injured. They rolled their ankle dramatically.
That's super funny.
Dramatic roll. Like it was a bad, very, very bad. The whole team comes in clamoring over the top, like making sure, trying to settle the person as they're on the floor, writhing in pain.
Yeah.
And this guy comes up behind with a chair.
Yeah.
Obviously, just pull the microphone off.
Don't mind me, folks.
They come up with a chair just to obviously support the person who's
I heard about this.
They're on the floor and he puts the chair down, and one of the other people who are helping them was like, "Oh, thanks," and then sits down on the chair. This is live TV, and the guy's just like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh yeah," and stands back up, and then they help the poor girl get
Look,
up on
it's
the
a
chair.
stressful time. Like everyone thinks they know how they're going to react in a fast-paced kind of environment. Like, no, you're not going to be perfect. Like, we shouldn't. Yeah, that is pretty funny though.
You saw the pole vaulting, the pole vaulting guy.
Oh, the guy that it's his first day on the job.
No, he pole vaulted up.
He was stopped.
He hit the
by
bar.
I think he had a microphone in his pocket.
Yes, he had a microphone, a very flimsy, squishy microphone.
Yeah, like that's not where I kept my. Oh, that's where I kept my other sock. That's why I couldn't find.
I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
I knew I was doing something with it last night.
Yeah, absolutely. There's been also beautiful on the other side, seeing people that they've only entered the sport like a few years ago. The woman that won the road cycling kind of thing, and it's kind of weird. Like it was put out on I think Olympics, like Instagram or something else, that she's only been in it like for a few years and she's won this road cycling tournament. And then someone's like commenting that it wasn't the Olympics one, it was like some other YouTuber, and people were commenting like horrible stuff. It's like, well, she's not technically the best in the world. It's like, celebrate the Olympics.
The boxer.
No, not the boxer, but she was a road cyclist.
Oh, road cyclist.
Yeah, like not road, like cycling on the road.
Yeah.
Not Tour de France, then that's what people were pointing at. They're like, oh, this is not the Tour de France, so she's not the best cyclist in the world. It's like, who cares, man? She won gold. What have you done?
It's just, people love to pick at people for things. There's lots of other stuff happening which I won't touch on, but like
social media stuff where your negative comments like that get rated by an AI and it gets recorded,
I would rather that get recorded by AI and then pushed out to the public for people to actually vote and decide if rants and riles are appropriate.
Like,
there's so many.
I don't
things
want to
happening
steer behavior, but at the same time, we should be. It should kind of be, AI and these tools will make it easier to see your bad behavior, just like a job interview.
Like the boxing.
Would you want to be mates with someone that's like horrible online?
You heard about the boxing. Right?
Yeah.
She's got some.
She's got XY
chromosomes, but she was born
female.
Female.
It's illegal.
Lived her life as a female,
but
she hasn't done anything. She hasn't altered herself. Like it was all natural.
Yeah.
And then people complain like she's versed other women who have got.
Then there's like misinformation.
Chromosomes.
And she's lost.
It's like she doesn't have any enhancements. It's not giving her any benefit.
But people are turning into something because that fighter quit versus her in the first 40 seconds or whatever. But that same fighter has also quit other fights, so it's not a first time.
Have they?
Yeah.
This is.
But it doesn't get put out there. It doesn't get shown. And I think this is where technology is going to be interesting in terms of helping with that. But I digress. The beautiful parts about the Olympics as well, apart from showing it's such a wonderful time to bring everyone together, and it's like such a microcosm of the world. If aliens were watch the Olympics and you see all the things that interact around that, people that won things for the first time, people have worked so hard, and when they realize that they've medaled, even just to get a bronze medal is such an amazing thing. You see these people breaking down because they realize that after the other results, they're going to be there. So I find it fascinating.
I was speaking to a friend yesterday just about the archery.
Oh yeah.
South Korea, amazing archery. Like they're just, all of them are incredible. But it was down to the finals with the South Korean and the American.
Oh.
And they tied all the way to the end, so it had to be a shoot off for the very last one. Whoever could get closest to the actual center of the target. Mm-hmm. And they're shooting 70 meters, I think I looked it up. 70 meter range.
It's about here to the camera.
South Korean won.
Oh.
2 centimeters.
Wow.
Like you at 2 centimeters over 70 meters.
And the wind and all these other factors.
Crazy.
And stuff.
Like good on both of them. That was I cannot comprehend pulling a bow and hitting a target at 70-meter range. Yeah. It's insane. Anyway, that was pretty exciting.
5 meters
that
even.
Was exciting.
That is pretty crazy. I thought we'd also start off with let's have a look at.
We've done this again. We do this every single time.
Oh, we do.
How are you doing, Mark?
Oh, I'm still here, which is great. Doing a lot of interesting things. A lot of meetings on the AI side.
Yes.
Putting some more things into I've started doing more Loom videos. Loom is great because we do product videos, and I think there's a difference between the product videos versus just how to do stuff on screen with a person there at the bottom of the screen telling you where to click. And Loom is great at just enabling you to record that off your browser. So we've been doing a whole heap of that, as well as just helping people just understand the onboarding process and what they get in terms of aftercare. And then also just visiting a few clients that have been realizing, on the one hand, some clients have tried to build stuff themselves, or they've had third parties come in and have just been frustrated because when it's built raw from scratch, they end up having to, it's almost the same as building it themselves, but they end up having to steer the direction in terms of features. And sometimes they're like, well, it feels like we know more than some of the consultants. And so I'm not naming names or anything here, but I'm starting to see frustrations from businesses that maybe didn't want to try buying things off the shelf. They wanted to see if they could just build it themselves, but are realizing, with many other technologies, that building yourself comes with its perils as well. Unless you've got an innovation team that's going to continuously update it, you'll always be behind, and you'll get stuck if something goes wrong and it's not part of your BAU, your business as usual kind of thing. So more realizing that, hang on a second, there's actually more that's been happening off the shelf with various tools. We should take a look at that. So I think it's an exciting time for us and other startups in the space.
It is a big thing I've been seeing a lot, even with really big consultancies, firms, huge organizations, mainly large organizations that can afford to do this. But because of the risk around data, content, sharing insights, knowing where current open market LLMs are pulling their information from and how they're learning, businesses not wanting to take the risk of integrating them or utilizing them. I mean, there are the likes of Copilot. You do have Gemini now, but even there's still a lot of unknowns around how that content works and how those tools work. So they are building their own LLMs on top of their own systems. And a lot of that has to do with how they're currently hosting their information. They've got a lot of security layers and a lot of things. And so even if something for example, Saika were to come in and support a large firm, it would be very difficult for you to be able to situate yourself within that business because of how their infrastructure is set up. So they're just building it themselves. But to your point, they're experiencing a lot of problems, accuracies, not knowing how to manage hallucinations. So people aren't really trusting the stuff that's being built internally, and they're wasting millions of dollars.
Yeah, or even if it's hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands, depending on how big you are, that's a lot of money. Yeah. And the other interesting thing is that people are they're seeing some things that AI can help with more than just your traditional what we have seen, which is marketing content and answering chatbot type stuff. I think the chatbots are great for a lot of those tools, but if you're building something and you're doing something to help business with their workflows, that's just so much better. And so there's so many ones out there, whether they're meeting AI tools and recording AI tools, or therefore images and videos and content like that. I think that's really interesting. But at the same time, there's just a lot of I think conversations that need to be had in this space that are starting to come up. And if you've been frustrated from working in the space or building in the space and you're not getting traction, it's kind of like a market cycle. You just needed that maturity to kind of hit and people to realize, because if they're not ready because I haven't had the education about, a particular topic, and we'll dive into it around, some stuff that's happening with OpenAI, and it leads into stuff that we want to see out of AI, which is more deterministic workflows, and we want to see workflows being a thing. AI is not just a chatbot, So I think, there's going to be some interesting things there.
It's interesting because even this week I've been, we've got that webinar. I've talked about this previously. I've been working heavily on that. It's kicking off next week, which I'm pretty excited about. And I've been doing some campaign work around it and just pushing out messages and information out to the market to try and get people excited and onboarded. And we've got some really good traction.
Yeah, very good.
But I've been using some AI tools to help with that. And And when you start to integrate it into processes or into doing things in the market that I would traditionally do manually, you do start to see where things fall a bit short, or where there's more effort needed than what it would take if I just did this myself, or just the fact that everything is in such a heavy beta format that it makes mistakes, or something doesn't work properly, and you're constantly going back to the drawing board with the development teams to go, hey, what's going on here? We need to get this fixed like as soon as possible. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. So it's not a bad thing, but it's making me realize more and more how early stage we are with a lot of these products and these tools. There's still a long way to go. But it's exciting.
It is.
And I'm here for it.
And that's why we're here. There's a whole lot of education that's going to be needed and stuff. But it's also like breaking down those barriers and making sure that how you explain things. Early on, it's funny, we get really early with it's an early industry, but in some ways, and in some ways it's been around for a while, but there's jargon already. LLMs, GPTs, and all this kind of stuff, which is great. We need that kind of language, and it's a shortcut. It's actually easier to access, but at the same time, that's not going to make sense for the layperson. Someone that's just working in the office, they'll just see it as AI. So while it's bad that it gets miscategorized into this overall thing, because that's definitely only one part of AI, but people see AI as just ChatGPT. It's also helpful. It's part of the language kind of changing. And I think what we need is more analogies around that sort of thing. So that's another thing we've been thinking about at Psych. What about yourself? What have you been up to?
Other than that, so planning this webinar, having a lot of great conversations in the market, getting a lot of great feedback for our podcast. Which has been really exciting. Yeah. A couple of people I've been working with and some other organizations gave me a call just out of the blue, which is like, we're loving what you guys are doing.
Wow. Please stop.
Massive.
It's enough.
Yeah, exactly. Stop with my ego. I can't handle it.
That's really good.
That was really, really nice.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Keep give us a like and a share, and keep telling your mom about our show, and we'll hopefully get more and more people into it.
Exactly.
But other than that, it's just kicking off a new project in the next couple of weeks. Finally, it's been a long time waiting for this one. So that's good. I can't say it.
No,
but it's definitely focusing on the UX side of things, which I'm really excited about, which is obviously my bread and butter.
Okay.
How do we optimize? How do we improve streams of work? How do we improve how you go to market? What's the strategy around those pieces of work?
Very good.
So very excited to kick that stuff off. Well,
if you're in UX, and whilst we don't, there are some tools out there, still limited somewhat if you're putting in images and stuff, but even just like wording, if it's around UX and that whole kind of customer journey and experience, so much better to put in a good bit of context in a safe tool that you can use, whatever that might be, and then to brainstorm with people and also have these suggestions come out from the AI when it's got that proper context. You'll get such better results. So exciting to see what you got there.
The great thing about it is that there's a bunch of tools that I had to get a whole bunch of security approval in terms of what tools I'm allowed to use, and I put forward several tools that I know I'm going to be using as part of this. Juno, Dovetail, and Saika is one of the ones, along with my traditional use of OpenAI, which I think I'll have to do in my own silo box because there's not a lot of security in that. But they're the sort of the big three I'm going to be heading into, along with all the other tools I would use for these processes, Miro, Figma, which have their own AI capabilities, etc. But
next episode, Chris shows us what his clients do. No, I'm just joking. No.
But I'm really excited because it's one of the first times I'm going to be doing almost an end-to-end solution, considering how AI can integrate and support the entire process, rather than me just drip feeding. I'm doing this. I'm going to have AI do this. It's part of the process in this example. So pretty pumped to be doing that.
I thought I'd ask here what I loaded up, the transcript from the last meeting. We'll do this more and more, but this is a section we call What Psych Says About the Last Meeting.
Oh, look how fast that went.
Oh, it was too fast. Okay, I want general themes. Let's try that again. Give me the themes of the episode, because I want to see, what did we talk about?
Yeah.
Sometimes stuff happens just so fast and you don't get much time. So we talked about AI technology and integration, market trends. We did talk about that.
We did.
The future of AI, speculations around what the future roles of AI is in various industries, and the potential of impact on job roles and the importance of adapting new technologies. We spoke about the concept of the human in the loop, and then AI in everyday life, like the KFC trials at the drive-ins. I still didn't get a chance to try that out. Maybe they've shut down because...
I think they may have shut down because it wasn't working very well, but
damn.
it's...
Well, I really want that sometime and stuff. But we announced as well last week, and we put out the official announcement. We saw that from the Oz DeFi Association, which we also run separately. But that not-for-profit has now been put in the position, thanks to City of Sydney, so thank you very much, to have Saika on as an official sponsor as well. So City of Sydney continues. Yep, we'll insert clap track here. So it means that we'll be doing a whole lot more, and I'm even conceptually building, imagine this, for the association, a hub where you can go to and you can see all the past meetups where we've recorded it, and you can see some video, not transcripts, but highlights of key themes and takeaways and stuff like that. And then we'll do like bigger summaries. We'll bring in other like blockchain related research, like really just helping anyone that's starting in the community to see what the hell has been going on. What are the trends? You know?
Yeah, nice. And do we have a domain for that? So
domain for what?
Insert. You said there would be a page.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. So no domain for that yet. That's just sitting in my mind. But in the future, even before you think, it'll just be out there, like the AI will just create it. So
insert domain in subtext episode 9.
In 3, 2, 1. Anyway, let's get to the news.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Just an immense amount
of stuff. Not that much.
I don't even know if we're going to get through this whole time. It's been a crazy week.
Go ahead.
I want to start with, OpenAI, obviously one of the biggest impact for AI in our modern times. Mm-hmm. Like it kicked off just an array of activities, businesses, and one of the co-founders, Mr. John Shulman, has announced on X a couple of days ago that he's going to be leaving, which is huge because he's been a big driver on the research side of things, how the learning model was put together,
alignment and safety and things like that.
Exactly right. And he's saying he's going to leave and moving to a competitor. Yeah, which I find very interesting.
Moving to Claude.
Good old Anthropic.
You know, it's interesting because there was this whole turtle and the rabbit, turtle and the hare.
Yep.
You know, rabbit and the turtle kind of race thing where OpenAI was seen as the turtle in a way. We spoke about this a few weeks ago. Fast, putting things out, just being really speedy to market with things. And then Anthropic being a bit of a hare because more focus on alignment, more focus on safety. But when they did say that they would put things out, they put things out. They haven't. Maybe they have had delays, but just more recently. And, you know, we only remember the last few months or so. Yeah, but at least in
impacts, right? Yeah.
Recent announcements, when they said that, hey, we're putting out Claude Sonnet, it's going to do this. It's going to have this artifacts thing where you actually see the output of not just code. You actually see output. You see dashboards. You can see the snake game that's being created.
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome, right? Great to see John joining that. It's interesting.
He said, I've made the difficult decision to leave OpenAI. This choice stems from my desire to deepen my focus on AI alignment and start a new chapter of my career where I can return to hands-on technical work.
Right.
I think that's just from OpenAI scaling so much. He's obviously stepped into this more director managerial level, and now he wants to get his hands dirty again, which makes sense.
Yeah, I guess
a lot of developers love to do that. They want to get their hands dirty and be right there in the thick of things. You know,
it's exciting. That's why you're surviving in startup kind of netherworld or like the startup kind of swamp. Because you love it, right? And so no doubt when things grow and businesses grow and you move up into upper management, etc., that, you get that itch. You miss.
That's it.
Really interesting stuff from John there. And there was a tweet as well, as you highlighted. Let's see if that tweet loads. Yeah, he shared like a longer thing on his site. So, worth checking out, folks. We'll leave those notes in the links. What else have you got?
Recently, actually, I might I'll go into some of the big players in the market. We've got Google and AWS, good old Amazon, who have done some really interesting things or announced some interesting things.
Big players.
Big players. Like,
I'm joking. Yeah, they're huge.
Obviously, Google has. I feel like Google has been a bit behind the ball with the whole AI spill.
Is that an Olympics analogy?
Yeah, but pretty much behind the gold medal. They've been bronze in everything at the moment.
Bronze effort, guys.
They obviously had Gemini. It's been their latest version of AI after the catastrophic initial release of Bed. That obviously made that big mistake. Bed, was it called Bed?
No, Bard.
Bard, whatever. Yeah. It was a Bed. That's what it. And Gemini has just had a new update that's come out.
What are they
Because
doing?
they were up to 3.5, version 3.5, and now they've got 3.5 in a beta access for 10.8.1080, I think they're announcing it to be called. And it has been smashing some of the engagements compared to OpenAI and Claude and all those other brands. Yeah, so it is 0801. Sorry, I did that backwards. So they're... Let me just pull this up. Oh, no,
Gemini Pro 0801.
That's the one.
Yep.
So
Blue
they
past
have-
GPT.
Oh, Gemini 1.5. I said 3.5. I'm getting this all wrong because it's Claude 3.5. So there's a platform called good old Chat Limsys. Have you heard of them? LMSys.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they do a lot of like reviews from both the people who host the platform, but then also the general public, rating responses compared with other platforms. And obviously OpenAI has had the number one position for quite a while.
Yeah.
But since Gemini Pro 001 has been announced, it has taken the top spot.
Interesting.
In terms of accuracy of responses, in terms of amount of information that is shared, speed, which is really, really interesting because obviously Google's been lagging behind and this is the first time they've sort of put themselves up there against the other competitors. It's still in beta, so not everyone has access to it. I personally haven't had a chance to jump in, but I thought it was a very interesting announcement because in line with a lot of that, in the next couple of days, about a week ago, they've announced all their new devices that will be coming out with the new foldable phones, etc. So I reckon it's going to be hopefully a bit of a tangential and release along with their new products.
Please put it on my Google Pixel 8.
Yeah.
I don't have the new version. Please put it out on the older ones. It's got anyway. But speaking of LMSys, like there's other providers as well, and I'll just show something on screen. This is an Aussie-made one. These guys have done so well. Micah and team, shout outs to you guys. This is something where they also do these ratings and stuff, and this has been quoted by Lex Friedman, Andrew Ng, big names in the AI space, but this is an Aussie startup that's doing these ratings as well. And you can see, you're right, like in terms of speed, Gemini 1.5, at least the Flash model is the speediest that is out there.
Yeah, that's it.
It doesn't appear on the quality side of things, but I see them being shown here. So here's Gemini 1.5 Pro in a rating of quality versus price. GPT-4o is still seen as the winner in terms of like
particularly for price, like I think it's still up there. I mean, for Gemini, you're paying like you get lots of data and storage.
So good.
But
exactly. I've never heard of Command R yet until now. But it's super interesting stuff. Just seeing all these like ratings, quality versus output speed, etc. Gemini 1.5 Flash is like right up there. That is super speedy.
Exactly.
It's in its own quadrant.
And even further to expand on that, it's now ranked as the best performing model for reduction of hallucinations without having to do any customization to the content as well.
Interesting.
Which is a piece of content I've got from the artificialintelligencenews.com written by Mr. Ryan Dawes. He highlighted that, it's now caught up there above Claude 3.5, according to the index. It's kind of pretty on par with Claude 3.5, but it's now taken that top spot. So that's an interesting. It's a big turn of events for them. On the flip side, though, good old Google has also suffered a pretty major hit in the US. I don't know if you heard about this.
No, go on.
With their search. So there was a big case that's been going on for quite a while due to their monopoly on search.
Yeah, I mean, it's been ruled that they are a monopoly.
There has been ruled they are a monopoly, and that the way that they are making themselves a monopoly has been deemed illegal play. So due to, they're paying like $6 billion or something a year to businesses like Apple, making sure that they're always the search engine of choice when you open up Firefox, etc. All of these activities have been deemed they're not. I don't know what the decision is or what the impact is or what the results are being off the back of it. But they have been found at this stage. I'm sure they're going to do a lot of challenging towards this ruling. But at this stage, it's been deemed illegal, their current activity. So I don't know what impact that's going to have on them in the long term. But definitely saw a bit of a drop in their shares after that ruling. But
interesting.
Hopefully the release of their AI will counteract that downfall.
It's a good distraction.
Yeah, good distraction. On this, keeping on the news of big players, we got AWS.
What are they?
They've just released some image generator tools, which is interesting, or an upgrade. I think they've got a few AI tools in the market right now.
Okay.
So they've called Titan Image Generator V2 has just been launched in the market. So they're trying to compete.
I missed V1 completely.
So did I. I didn't even know it existed. But essentially what you're able to do is upload images. It can read the image really, really nicely and alter that image in ways that you deem using text to obviously image. So that's interesting that they're entering this space. But more interestingly, and this is a topic we touched on back in episode 1 or 2, was our big players are starting to move into that chip market. So obviously we've got Snapdragon, which is absolutely crushing it in the AI space right now. You should, I think if you look up Snapdragon in YouTube, you can find a myriad of technologies and businesses that they're into. They've got their own website now that you can download APIs for big developer plays. Absolutely killing it in this space. Obviously really trying to stick it to the likes of NVIDIA and other players. Google with their phones, Samsung with their phones, they've obviously got their own partnerships with AI integrated into their systems. Obviously Apple with their M3s and M2s. But now Amazon is building or has built their own chipsets to compete within that market. So they have their own cheaper, faster AI chips coming out. They're not available yet, but it has been announced. Which is very interesting because I think this is touching on what I was talking about before, where these big businesses, the only way that they can keep ahead is by having control of the technology and the software in itself, right? So you have a smoother experience. You have, you're able to develop stuff that is much more capable. You're not having to tailor for other businesses, other APIs, other technologies. You have all this one system that you control. So I think they've, I don't know how much they've invested into this, but it is an interesting announcement given all the other things that are happening in the market.
Yeah, it's interesting because that would be big news any other week. It's just that there's a lot of other stuff going on at the moment, which is kind of nutso. You were talking about long outputs as a thing from OpenAI. What's all that about?
Yeah, so GPT-4o has just recently announced their long output format, which is capable of dealing up to 64,000 output tokens per request.
Whoa.
Which is like, there are others that are doing 128,000, others are doing up to 1 million, I think, in some instances.
There's others that are just building the world.
Building the actual
in terms of output.
But this is interesting because it's a more accessible framework for developers to be able to do a lot of interesting work. It's called the GPT-4o 64 Output Alpha. That's the model name.
What a great name.
And it is... they've got some costs here for it. It's like $6 per 1 million tokens.
Okay.
With an output usage of $18 per 1 million tokens, obviously in USD. So a lot more affordable, I think it is focused on, and using the accuracy of 4o, which is great. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a 6 cents per 1,000 tokens. So. Yeah, it's funny. There was a crossover when everyone was doing like the per 1,000, and then they changed it to per million because million tokens, but it's like $18. Whoa, is that expensive or not? It's the same thing as 6 cents, folks. It's just divide by 1,000.
Yeah,
I
think they did that though because, and a lot of them have gone. Pretty much all of them have gone that way because who only uses 1,000 tokens in the city?
It's nothing. It's child's play. That's what Lana's gonna do. Like. Her 900 tokens.
Yeah, exactly.
Daddy food now.
Love it. And so, you were going to expand on something for
GPT. So apart from the long output thing, what OpenAI has come out with just a day ago is something called structured output. And structured output, initially it sounded like to us that they were already doing formatting where the output comes out in JSON, JSON, not Jason from Digital Village, co-founder there, but JSON or JSON. So that's the Jason. So JSON is a format that's been around for a while, coming out of OpenAI's APIs and obviously through Microsoft as well. What they're doing now is focusing on that more to ensure that it conforms to various JSON schemas. This is great for developers because one of the biggest problems, Chris, is that when Peter Christopher, I'm not going to give out your full details. Maybe I should. License number, address, date of birth.
Credit card.
It's my birthday month anyway, but we'll talk about that later. Woo-hoo. But the problem with chat tools is that it's through language. It's a great thing that you can code through language, but at the same time, trying to make the code do certain things that you want, or what we call being deterministic, having set structures and outputs. As a coder and developer for mission critical systems, you cannot really just do that. You can't rely on a chatbot that's going to get things wrong, 1 in every 7, if you haven't got the right kind of quality. And it's really interesting that OpenAI is doing this more emphasis on now, because it's helping you with the outputs and structures. We've been doing something adjacent to and complementary to, actually. So this is very helpful for us. We created, the underlying engine of Saika is not just us talking to the AI models. We had to build a layer on top which helps us be deterministic in the answers. And what I mean is we built prompt flows, which is this way of managing different complex workflows in all parts of Saika. And because it's not just in Saika, we powered other AI apps as well. So for developers out there, we're actually an engine that you can use that is an orchestration layer between the things. If you think about, we call it an orchestration layer because that's the technical software term for it, but it is literally like an orchestra. Prompt flows is like a conductor. You want to create a symphony. You've got the musicians, you've got the audience, you've got all these inputs. You need to control it like a conductor would to be able to get the right kind of symphony. And as I said at the start, when it comes to just chatbot AIs or having to figure things out to get an output based on, do I put the word that? Do I put an apostrophe? Do I make it a capital? Do I use this? Whatever. It's harder to just do it with chat. Trying to bridge that world where a lot of us data scientists have come from, where it's very structured, to this really super unstructured but quite powerful world. This is the middle ground. So if businesses or people, you've got something, and we're calling it mission critical. I've heard that on other podcasts, which is great. It describes it perfectly. But if you want mission critical kind of workflows, you need to do more with the tools. And so it's great that the world is starting to open up to this sort of thing. And I think it's going to bring on more business adoption, because a lot of businesses have gotten frustrated from, it's inaccurate, or it's getting errors, or it's not quite the right output. This is all around that theme, and it's a beautiful thing. So I think this is like a dawning of a new age when it comes to generative AI. It's not just a fun thing. Now it's mission critical.
I think it's something that's been a long time coming, and I think it's always going to happen, right? So you end up with these tools that come out, they're a little bit alpha, a little bit beta,
yeah.
And it gets to a point where, all right, they're pretty good now. Now we need to understand how they're going to benefit people's day-to-day use, how they're going to benefit, have better accuracy, have better functionality, have better integration with organizations and businesses. So it's good to see that that's finally happening, because time and time, right now, there's so many conversations around, this one's faster and that one's faster and this one's do this. It's like, yeah, but how does it integrate with people's lives? Like all you're doing is competing with this speed and this information that isn't relevant to how people use it in business. So it's good that some people are thinking about these processes, flows, all those types of things that make it more useful in our day-to-day lives.
And what you were saying there about competing as well, one of the frustrations that people have is that, okay, this is an interesting tool, but I have to keep on tweaking it and changing because it doesn't give me quite the right output. I end up spending. Now, I would argue that it's probably faster to do it with even just normal chatbots, but people feel like they're spending just as much time, even though it's an efficiency tool. But you would spend less time if you know that you're going to get this type of output if I click on these instructions, or if I write down these things and I give it this context and these documents, this is the style of the output, and this is the thing that it's going to say. I can control it a lot more. So mission critical workflows are definitely about that ability to control how the output's going to come. And coming from the world of data science, where we're used to that sort of thing, it's just part and parcel. It's just beautiful to see that it's coming out this way. So, athletes are out there enjoying their thing, the software athletes. This is a big win for us, I think, as a whole. So, yeah, really interesting stuff. What else were you seeing in the news, Chris?
Yeah, some other more fun and interesting things that we got. Heard of Runway
boring,
LM? Runway
fun.
LM? They've just done their Gen 3 Alpha update, so it's not accessible for everyone. But what was really cool is how advanced their fluid dynamics integration has become with now image to video. So You can upload an image, add a bit of text, and then it can generate a video based on a very short video based on that description that you've put in. And some businesses have done this quite well already. We've seen it with a few other image generator tools.
When you say fluid dynamics, are you talking about like water?
Like water, liquid, or gel, and all that type of stuff. So if you want like fluid falling over or flame coming out of a tree, or some of the videos that I've seen, really, really good for AI. And if you look at cinema in general, one of the biggest problems when it comes to any kind of generating, like when you look at Marvel movies with all the all the bloody graphics that they put into it, the biggest shortfall is usually to do with fire or fluid style dynamics, because it's quite a complex thing to generate.
Interesting.
And now seeing that AI is doing that really realistically that's pretty cool.
Well, it's all about like helping shortcut workflows. Now, obviously, I'm sure I can hear it already. The complaints like, this is going to just push more people out of jobs and stuff, but
it's going to accelerate. I think they'll be able to utilize these tools now to be more creative and focus on the thing by making it more realistic than what the AI is able to do. It's still not all the way there.
Quality outputs. And I'd also argue that if someone does get fired, either controversial take, but either that business was just going to do it anyway, and they just found AI as a good excuse and timing to do it, unfortunately. Or it might not be the tech fault. There could be some other factors at play. I mean, if I was to get fired and I was like just not performing well, unfortunately, that's a thing that should be looked at. And that's not to say that there's extremes where there's people that shouldn't have been fired that get fired, and there's also people that should well be fired or something like that because they're just not doing well. But I think going back to that whole Instagram thing we were talking about at the start, hopefully through tools like this, the transparency of blockchain, the control that's starting to come from and creativity of AI, and efficiency, where we're going to see like new worlds kind of form. But there's never going to be anything perfect. So every time we have done these tech moves throughout the history of time, we just open up a Pandora's box of new problems that we get.
Exactly right.
Right? But we march forward, like regardless of what one person or a few groups or...
Ants go marching one by one.
We can't stop it. We cannot stop it. So we got to learn how to be part of it, to control it. Otherwise, it controls us.
Yeah, that's so true.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Don't drop the mic.
End of the episode right there.
Is it though? Okay, so welcome back to part 8.
Some more quick news though.
Go ahead.
We've got Midjourney did their update, had a big update this week. So faster response time, more realistic images, some pretty cool content I've seen generated out of that. More accurate and adjustable results. So better at word generating, which is quite interesting. So a lot of things that image generators don't get well is copy. Somehow DALL-E managed to get Digital Nexus integrated into that. It took a few turns to get that optimized though.
And then some of them have those like brushing or painting tools, like with OpenAI, because it's using its DALL-E model underneath. When you get through ChatGPT, create an image, you can brush over. Let's just say that in this example, it didn't say Digital Nexus quite right. You can just highlight with a brush over the words and just say, turn this into the wording Digital Nexus.
Yes.
I've been using that for like I'm going to do some, I won't share it yet, but I want to do some like just learnings that we've had from Saika and co about, it's not a how-to guide necessarily, but it's some of these like realizations that, if we're going to mainstream, we need more deterministic AI, or if, the way that you're using things and you're getting stuck, well, use the AI to help you learn. Just some of these like profound things that lay persons in the public or the normal everyday person, they might learn how to use the AI tools and stuff, but there's these extra things that are more philosophies that I think are quite interesting. So
very cool.
I was using, that brushing kind of thing for that. But really interesting going back to it, that Midjourney, he's improving that.
100%.
Great.
And they've probably been one of the best image generators, like from the initial...
Agreed.
Days of AI coming out into the market and being a big thing. So them keeping themselves ahead of the game is, it's no small feat. So good on them.
No, it's big feat.
We've got, interestingly, this is I haven't seen this yet. I just saw a couple of articles on it and some people talking about it on X. Reddit has integrated some AI summaries now into their onto their
watch.
So you can
tell me more.
You go to any of the pages, any of the conversations that you might be finding in Reddit.
Okay.
And there's now AI summaries above the content.
Whoa. Okay. So like instead of having to read the whole thread.
Yeah. Let me bring it up. So it's not just a thread; it's your search results as well. So users will soon see AI-generated summaries at the top of their search results. It was announced by Mr. Steve Huffman, the CEO, told investors during his earnings last Tuesday that the AI-powered search result page summarized and recommended content will be highlighted. So this will help deep dive into the content and discover new Reddit communities.
Wow!
So that's kind of interesting. So seeing some of the the old school content communities integrating some AI into their platforms, it's could be fun.
The other thing that's interesting there is that with Google search having their AI summaries and it going funny, and only a month or a few weeks before they were in trouble or kind of lambasted because the AI image generator was too woke, creating African-American looking Nazis because it needed people of color as part of anything that you did. Like, its custom prompts were changing things of what really happened historically. Now, a lot of the time you get extreme ends of that. And so when they got to extremities and lack of training data is what has led to some of these kinds of issues, right? And it's great that people point it out, but it makes the public think that, AI is bad. And it's just like, no, like, you don't understand why it got to that.
It's also, the other people keep forgetting that these things were built by people. So
exactly.
People make mistakes.
People make mistakes, but also it's just the settings and stuff. And it's not, if you just change the settings, it's actually okay. But like
Meta had a real bad one, right? Where you were able to create images when they released their AI image generator for tools like WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger. You were able to generate content or images of kids with guns shooting each other. Like, it was just, it was so ridiculous.
I missed out on that one.
The restrictions, the non-restrictions that they were putting in place for a lot of these tools.
What if it was like kids that wanted to do it? They wanted to play like armies in real life. Like, we played armies back then with little stick figures, and now you can. Anyway, that's wrong. Sorry, folks. But the Google search was like another thing where they were doing summaries as well, and you reminded me of that when you were talking about Reddit, because they were getting in trouble a little bit. And not in trouble, it was just being pointed out as funny that you'd ask it a thing like, how do you make pizza cheese stick to the pizza? And it's like, we'll use glue. Or like, what's the healthy amount of rocks that I can eat? And it would tell you a healthy amount of rocks that you could eat. Stupid stuff like that. Now, the reason why it was giving those answers, Google search is based on the outputs, right? And the summarizations, if it's even a better word, that it was doing is based on the results. So for that, how to stick cheese onto pizza better, it was finding results from Reddit, and these were completely troll posts, okay? So the reason why some of this AI stuff from Google, and the public didn't understand, they thought it was Google making this up. No, Google is just simply summarizing what the world has already put out there. So the reason for some of these funny ones, funnily enough, is because of, in some cases, Reddit, because there was only one post on that particular topic. So, well, that's its answer. So obviously Google search needs to have controls in there, because if there's not enough results or it looks like a funky result, don't pass it through. But it's ironic that Reddit's now doing that.
I can't imagine what results would come up if they had things like 4chan or...
Oh my God. Well, yeah. That is crazy if there was ever anything like that. Do not go there, folks. But no, it's interesting.
Showing our age, knowing that one.
It's interesting kind of stuff, because that's exactly what the kind of things that I want to do with the content that we've got, which is like the Oz DeFi Association content, what we're doing for Digital Nexus. Just these summaries that make things more accessible, and people being able to search like, okay, what do the guys talk about? I haven't seen their show before. I haven't been to an Oz DeFi meetup. What are some of the topics and trends? Oh, great. I can look at this summary, and now, there's a video. And if they are interested, well, we'll have all of that kind of stuff loaded up into Saika as something people can access. So I think it's a really great thing to see others doing that, because then it becomes just expected. We didn't search before. We didn't do Google search. We had Lycos and Ask Jeeves and Yahoo, and obviously they changed the game with their algorithm.
Dovetail.
Yeah, exactly. So they these new waves of seeing how we do things, and we spoke about it last week, where it was like the move from search being the main thing on the results page and the AI assistance on the side, but you've got folks like Perplexity, where the AI results are the summary. That's the main part in the middle, and the sources are on the side. And OpenAI doing their search GPT when that comes out. Speaking of OpenAI, voice.
which is kind of, I mean, they've had the voice available,
advanced voice,
for a while, but yeah.
Scarlett Johansson voice. Oh wait, no, not Scarlett.
Whoa, pull it back.
Whoa,
it was never her. It was never her.
Yeah, exactly. It was never HER. So yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, I don't know if they found like a replacement voice for that, but I heard that it was like coming out in beta. Like, it wasn't out. They showcased it on stage and they showed videos which looked great, got people excited. But going back to the rabbit and turtle thing, people wanted access to it and just couldn't because it wasn't released yet, and they delayed it by a month as well. But now we're that month later because time flies. But people are starting to get it now. So what's happening? Have you seen stuff?
I've only seen the content. I haven't had a chance to play with it. I don't have access to it.
I don't have access to it either.
But it's
I'm a lowly AI person.
The thing that it has been missing from the one that is accessible is that ability for it to essentially act almost like an educator, having more context, having to actually do things in a much more human engaged environment, and actually respond even faster. So that's what this is all about.
So it's going to read bedtime stories to your little one.
Look after your kid. It's now essentially going to be that AI babysitter / nanny that we've always wanted, with the voice of not her. Not her.
Why the long pause? I don't know. I'm a polar bear. Just a different take on that joke. Anyway.
So, I mean, I'm pretty excited for this. Like, it's one of those, it's one of the things that have, when it comes to AI, having that extra human element. And it's, for some people it's creepy, but I love this idea of not being able to type things, having to have a conversation with it.
Yeah.
And the existing format is pretty cool, but there's still that sort of mechanical response to the conversations.
It's less natural.
It's less natural. And this is like taking that natural state up a notch, which I'm pretty excited for.
I'm very excited for that kind of stuff. That's some pretty good news there. And you said, before we all got ready for this, and we missed doing it last time, but we were going to talk about tools and stuff last time. I think we just ran out because there was so much to talk about for the hour. But we did want to make an effort around the tools this time. Should we talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is coming in touch with like a lot of the stuff that I've been working on with both businesses while we're touching on the webinar, is what type of tools are for people. Like we get excited about these image generating content. We get excited about all the new LLM features and video features and the next big thing in the market, how Saika is changing the game from security and music. But it's like we never talk about the application of it for people's roles, people's jobs, people's workflows, etc. So I thought I'd just
interesting.
Yeah, and I wanted to...
Because not all roles, jobs, or even just like it's not a job, it's just something you do day to day, will use AI the same way.
Yeah, exactly right. So what I've been doing is just talking with a few people around tools that they use in certain job roles, positions.
Nice.
And a lot of these you would have heard us talk about. A lot of these you would definitely have probably even touched on and utilized or tested with. But so for those who have been following us or who have been deep in learning about AI themselves, apologies if this is repeating what you already know. But for those who don't, who are interested in understanding what tools they might want to play with to learn more, is a couple of things that I've got here. So for our UI and designers, something that I've been Leonardo was traditionally one of my fun ones to play with because of its customization elements. That and combined with Figma and its new AI features that have come out, despite its controversies that are surrounding it. Really awesome for creating, for being pushing that creativity element a little bit further than what you may be able to normally do. Also, there's a lot of designers out there who work in really short bursts who are doing quick design solutions. And having these AI tools now allow these quick designers, people who are doing jobs on the side, to be able to create much more powerful solutions for their clients and customers. If people don't have a lot of budget, these tools now allow you to do things really rapidly. So if you've got a startup and you're a designer and they can't afford to spend 20-30K on a big redesign, using something like Leonardo combined with Figma AI generation tools and the works allows you to create these brands, these designs, these logos, these images so quickly. Like using Adobe logo tool in itself is like a huge fast track to be able to create brand brand for organizations. So
absolutely,
there's a couple of tools there. Researchers, this is a space that I play in quite a lot.
Oh yeah, okay.
Particularly from a UX perspective, if you are someone who is looking to enhance how you capture insights and information whether you're doing interviews, whether you don't want to do interviews and you're just trying to sprinkle that extra bit of data on top of stuff you already know or insights you already have.
Yeah.
Juno is one I kind of mentioned it before, I think in passing, but Juno is essentially a tool that allows you to send out, whether it's forms or some kind of unique flow of capturing data and insights from people out to a mass wide of audience, come get that information back, and the AI tool then groups all the information together for you and gives you the insights out without having to sift through all of the data. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for distributing, out to a large database of users. Getting research back and having it already ordered for you.
On that note, like one thing that research, you need people to fill in the research. You need volume, you need numbers and stuff there, and it's not always easy, and especially in a world where you find sometimes that you either have to offer incentives and stuff for people to do that, or you always have to offer incentives, but those incentives needing to up their game a little bit more. Now, obviously, that's a costly thing. Cost of living is not just for individuals, it's also for businesses as well. The cost of having a business is going up. But interestingly, there's been research that's put out there. I'm not showing anything here. I don't have a link, but I've seen Ethan Mollick post on this. He's one of those profound, he's written books in terms of like co-intelligence, and he's a lecturer and showcases a lot. Sharecases? That's a new word.
Sharecases?
Yeah.
It's the showing of shares to have a case of what to do next.
Pretty much. And so sharecasing some really interesting kind of papers, and one of them was on synthetic research. And there's always been this concept of, if you've got the right kind of content, or you can just get the AI to make up different kind of personas, and then doing research based on having the AI act as those personas. So research is leveled up by not just like the tools that help you summarize and get things out there, but even AI acting as part. And I would do it in the sense of not just like necessarily random and raw, make it up from the start, but if you've got an audience and you've got audience types, and this percentage is like this type of investor, for example, if it's an investor audience, you could have the AI mimic that so that you can test features like, this is our audience, tell me how the AI would react to this new feature that we're putting in, without actually having to put out some of those surveys. Now, obviously, it's not the same as real. Things change in the outside world, but it can definitely help.
It's a good way to test and quickly, just to quick learn to check things out before you might want to put it in front of some actual people to gain insights and feedback. And it's interesting you say that, because that leads into a couple of other tools. I'll touch firstly on Dovetail, which I think is a great one, which is much more for the one-to-one interviews in a virtual environment.
What are you going to dovetail into?
I'm going to dovetail into the Dovetail AI researcher tool. So you can use that for one-to-one interviews. It captures those insights, gives you that feedback loop. But touching on what you just said is I'm still every time I go back to OpenAI, for the very reason of what you said around creating those personas. It's just a really easy way to do it and do some internal testing with things. Claude, you can do it as well. And even more interestingly, which I've been wanting to test out, is you'd be able to do it in Saika. So imagine if you created dreams with personas, and you got all the different dreams to talk about each other, to talk to each other and provide that insight. And that's why that's going to be one of the big tools I'm going to be using in my next project that I'm running, for that very reason.
Definitely a big tool. That's what we are.
Another one there for the researchers is Perplexity, and I can't spout this enough, purely because of its kind of RAG model approach, where you're able to quite easily gain insight to where the information was. And again, I put Saika next to that one. I'm going to be using Saika over Perplexity in my next project, as I just highlighted.
Throw your documents and PDFs and Word docs in, and then go, where did that answer come from?
Exactly, it's going to be great. So this gives you the recommendations to relevant queries, gives you questions that you might want to have asked to tailor your responses, and also shows you where that content is coming from. Which is, I love it. It makes that sort of desk research so much more easy.
When I do searches, so if I just want creative stuff, okay, reformat this, I'll use Saika for that. Or if, I'm working with someone, they don't have Saika, we just go open up ChatGPT and let's do this. But when it comes to stuff where you actually need the sources, I don't only need the answer, but I need to know that it's come from somewhere reputable. I use Perplexity. So
that's exactly it.
Interesting.
So we've got a few more. I won't go through it because I think we'll keep these for some other days. Sure. But I'm going to script down the bottom for our project managers out there. Ooh. And these are people who are in, because this is something that's a little different and we don't talk about this a lot.
Product managers are people too, okay?
Product managers are people too. So project managers,
for $1 a day, you can sponsor a product manager.
I'm sure our agile coaches in the works have probably heard about a lot of these. But Atlassian, for example, has made a lot of strides in the AI space. Obviously, they're a huge company.
I've heard of those guys.
They've just suddenly popped into my view. I don't know why. I've never heard of them before.
I did projects for Atlassian way back in the day, or with Atlassian as a client. I was an auditor.
And, there you go.
Yeah, I had done some stuff there. Actually, no, it wasn't audit. I apologize. I used to work near their old offices when I was in audit, like over a decade ago. But when I was working for a consulting firm, I was doing some stuff with their finance department. And one of the days that I was there was a chili eating contest at Atlassian. Now, obviously, nothing AI back then, but I could reimagine that now with image. Really interesting stuff. Sidecar note.
Love it.
Please go back to what you were talking. Please talk about what the real value of Atlassian.
Yeah. So so these their new AI tool allows you to pretty much, if you've had a conversation, you've captured requirements, you've got documentation around what it is you need to deliver, you can pretty much input into this tool, and it will give you a project plan, essentially. Map out what you need to do and how you need to do it. Furthermore, if you have even more detail, a tool I recommend is something called Product Monkey, which I've learned about recently thanks to my colleague who I'm going to be doing one of the webinars with the next couple of weeks, Mr. Ned. And,
shout out to Ned Moorfield, who we've met through the blockchain space.
Yes.
He used to work at Immutable, and we've met him through that. And I've been on a panel with him talking AI.
Yes, down at Fishers. Fishburners, very cool.
Yeah.
Product Monkey, a nice little niche for converting essentially all of your assets, insights, designs, such as stuff you might have done in Figma, into your project stories. So for agile folk out there who run agile projects and they need to have everything summarized into stories and tickets, this tool allows you to create that really simple Kanban insight just based on the content you've already created. So you may have your app designed up, put it into this tool, and it will map out the stories for you. So very powerful and quick way to fast track how you get into the development phase of things. Absolutely. And obviously you still want to make sure you put your professional product eye over the top of all these things. And none of them are 100% accurate. They're all obviously still very early stage, but they are very, very good for fast tracking how you work.
Are you going to create a show called like Product Eye for the non-product guy?
Product Eye for the non-product guy.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's the new on Netflix 2025.
Yeah, exactly. Coming soon, straight after the Olympics.
It's interesting though, because regardless of all these tools, the things I do keep coming back to, and I don't know why, I haven't figured it out. I always come back to OpenAI, I'm not sure why that is the case yet.
Oh, they're the origin. They're like, almost think of it like Ethereum in the blockchain space, and there's a lot of these other things that are built on top of Ethereum, adjacent to, opposite of. But even then, people still talk about, well, okay, you're building a blockchain platform. Is the language you're using going to be EVM compatible, Ethereum virtual machine? Because it's the thing that is synonymous with the space. How OpenAI have created, if it wasn't for ChatGPT, you'd know them as an API company. They have their great APIs even out before GPT-3 and GPT-2, etc., where you could just API into it to get sentence completion, and obviously it's grown to far more than that. But yeah, it's there's natural reasons why you always look back at them. But then it's like when you look at the nuance and stuff there, and it has these things that I don't quite need, and this other tool has this kind of stuff. I like the images better. That's when the nuance kind of breaks. But I see why you go back to it. So what's happened?
Yeah. No, nothing happened. Just more of an interesting, just a commentary.
Why didn't it happen the way that I was thinking it would happen?
Just how it happens. Yeah. Anything else from yourself, mate?
Just stuff and junk. No, we've got a really interesting next week, and we'll throw it up on. Let me throw it up on screen, Jamie. I can be my own Jamie here.
13th of August.
13th of August. You and I are going to be filming a really interesting. What are we calling it? It's all about democracy, the convergence of digital stuff. So AI, blockchain. How does it actually help with democracy? And we're not just talking about it ourselves. We're actually talking about this with some people that are very close to the space. So the former digital minister for Taiwan, Audrey Tang, is here gracing our shores with Glen Weyl. Glen is a founder of something called Radical Exchange and was a pioneer of a technique to governance called quadratic voting, and very important in the blockchain space, and has co-written papers with Vitalik Buterin, who is the founder of Ethereum, along with others, but very well known in the space. So they work with Vitalik. They're here to talk with state and federal government ministers because Taiwan has their digital democracy kind of model. They're very digital native over there. How with Australia having like a digital ID coming up that's being worked on, and I'll show you something on that as well. This is a very interesting topic. Right here at Stone and Chalk, we're on level 4 right now. It's just outside, free food and pizzas, sign up links below. That's on Tuesday, so by the time you're seeing this, hopefully on Monday, it will be the day after. So definitely worth checking out. And then another thing that I wanted to just show was, just quickly, if I can, that's back to that. How do I go back to my other screen here? Here's the John Shulman tweet. But speaking of digital, one of the things that's come out is that the Australian government has read into Parliament. They've had a first bill and a second bill reading, which is where things become law.
Yep.
Had consultations before that. This thing is still open for not consultation, but feedback. And one of the things that we did was throw all of this kind of stuff in a Saika. So this is the whole standard here. So I won't open it up, but you can see that I'm scrolling through. There's a ton of content. I've just thrown all of this into like different components in Saika. I've got not centralized, our thoughts on that space, our thoughts on privacy, our thoughts about, because the two things that we wanted to say, we didn't answer every question that was there for the feedback. We just said there's two things we want to get across. And one is that you need to think about privacy, and something that blockchain is really good at, and why you should consider a compliant blockchain, because you can identify everyone and everyone has to have a real ID, can't be fake people. But with another thing about blockchain privacy is that you can put what's called a zero knowledge proof on top. And we've used it in a project that we did with the RBA. We're using it on a current blockchain project, which is to do with payments in the real estate space, so that you and I can, you're the landlord, I'm the tenant, I can pay you, I'm paying Aussie dollars, you're receiving Aussie dollars, but in the middle, you don't have to worry about signing up for blockchain, a wallet or anything like that. We'll take care of that in the middle. And so it's that layer that is just helping with payments, but we need to keep things secret in there in terms of you can't see everyone's details all at once. Like blockchain itself, as soon as you and I have done a deal or transacted, you can naturally just see what's on my wallet.
Yeah.
And there's other ways around it, like, hey, have multiple wallets, but who's going to do that? And so we're bringing in some of these techniques, and I think they apply to digital IDs. And I put in a set of instructions here, and I said, take all these ingredients basically and write me a draft. And I'll just show you like an example of this. So if I hit run instructions here, if I can spell, because I always type well when I'm, under pressure. Instructions, because one of the notes that's on the screen here, apart from all the different things like the bill, what the bill's about, the thoughts that Not Centralized has, the projects that we've worked on, and it takes a little bit of time here because there's a lot in there. But by putting in an instructions note, Chris, I can tell the AI that I want you to look at this note here. This is what this one's about. I want you to compare it to this. I want you to put in your response this talk about the examples that Not Centralized has done, etc. So obviously this is a draft and I would need to rework this, but it gives you like a nice, what a human assistant would, do for you. And now if you were the assistant, you would then take this further before you hand it up to your boss. Or if you're a one-man show, it makes life a little bit easier.
And this is what I love about, this is why I mentioned the research piece before, because the ability for you to be able to then silo buckets of information and try and have the tool draw comparisons or draw insights between the two without just having one big block of text.
Yeah, which is what we're seeing on screen here.
Crucial. So
these buckets of information. And the cool thing, why we did this, remember how we were talking about the start when months ago, we did this because instead of a long chat thread or having to have multiple chat threads, I can just do this all in the one area. I can edit in here and it doesn't affect other parts.
Exactly. I don't have to repaste the myriad of text I already put up top because I wanted to tweak something. You can now regenerate based on adjustments you've made within within each of those.
We're like a bureau of adjustments, an adjustment bureau.
Adjustment Bureau.
Wait, that
was a movie. Was it with Matt Damon and?
Damn it! I thought I was the first one to come up with that.
Something like that.
I mean, I'll have to call my adjustment bureau to wipe people's memories. Anyway, yeah, the building blocks of time and money and power is all there. So that was the last thing from me. Sorry to shout into the mic. Episode 7. That
was really good. I think we'll wrap it up there. A lot happened this week. A lot of stuff happening next week. 15th of August, we've got the event. I've got our webinar for me on the 15th.
15th of August is your webinar.
Up. 13th of August, we've got
international guests
on blockchain space, and then on the
28th
the Oz DeFi
end of month event over here in Sydney, and it's going to be fun. I thought I'd just do one thing as we leave. I'm going to head downstairs, Chris.
Why?
I don't know, because I just want to go downstairs. See you, folks.
Where are you going? See you. Bye. Bye, Mark. Bye. And he's gone.
Circuit board buzzing, worldwide. Tech trends blazing, digital fire.